Hello to everyone again. We're welcome back to Perspectives Canada. Today we will now go through info on the Conservative Party of Canada. We'll begin with some general information. Their standing in Canadian politics. Their current leader is Stephen Harper. The party occupies 145 out of the 308 seats in the House of Commons, and it occupies 46 out of the 105 seats in the Senate. It received 5,205,334 votes last election, 37.6% of the popular vote. Currently, the party in Canada that governs, and it has no official provincial wings, but has ties with various provincial progressive conservative parties. Now we're going to go on some party history. The Conservative Party of Canada was founded on December 7th, 2003, after the merger of the Progressive Conservative Party, the Reform Party of Canada, the Canadian Alliance Party, and various small factions. The current party has all financial assets of all conservative parties that existed in Canada. The first Conservative Party in Canada was the Liberal Conservative Party, founded in 1854 by Sir John A. Macdonald. The early party advocated unity with the British Empire, but later changed policies in this matter. Various factions of the party existed. In the 1920s, the Conservative Party lost votes due to the rise of social democratic parties. Later on, the West saw the Conservatives as caring too much for the interests of Eastern Canadian businessmen and not caring as much as necessary for the West. As a result, leaders such as John Diefenbaker and others formed and led the Progressive Conservative Party. John Diefenbaker made many changes while in office, signing the Bill of Rights, giving First Nations the right to vote, cancelling the Avro space program, and improving trade and relations with the UK, and establishing closer ties with the US. His party was defeated due to economic problems. However, the Progressive Conservatives returned to power in 1984 under the leadership of Brian Mulroney due to anger of those in Quebec for not being given special status recognition in the Charter of Rights. In his time in office, the Conservative movement changed from esteeming ties with Britain, particularly instead, a larger emphasis was placed on closer ties with the United States. While in office, Mulroney signed the Free Trade Agreement with the U.S. in 1989, which also came to conclude and include Mexico, which was called and ended up being called NAFTA. The government of the Progressive Conservatives lasted until 1993, when increasing debt, failure to reform the Senate as promised, and to change the Constitution also failed. This brought the Progressive Conservatives to 2 seats from the majority they had held. In the 1990s, a new faction of the Conservative Party became the prominent Conservative Party in Canada after the Progressive Conservatives' crushing defeat. This party was called the Reform Party. The party wished to reverse national bilingualism and multiculturalism, as well as to bring back capital punishment. It opposed extending rights to homosexuals and opposed abortion. Privatization of business and smaller government was also a key principle of the party. The party would eventually change its name to the Canadian Alliance Party. In the 90s, the Reform Party had governance and prominence in Western Canada, whereas the Bloc Québécois controlled Quebec, and the Liberals had their support base in Atlantic Canada, Ontario, and the Territories. The Liberals would govern Canada for the next 13 years from 1993, and this period ending only by a movement of the Canadian Right. In 2003, the Canadian Right was united. Talks between Progressive Conservative leader Peter MacKay and Canadian Alliance leader Stephen Harper occurred on October 15th of that same year, 2003. A vote on the merger between the two political parties was held on December 5th, 2003, and passed by 90%. The merger was official, ratified 2 days later, with the party being registered with Elections Canada 2 days later as well. John Link Anton was the interim leader of the party, and Stephen Harper was elected as party leader on March 20th, 2004, with 56.2% of the party votes. The Conservatives' government has made several changes in Canada. It lowered the GST from 7% to 6% on July 1st, 2006, and then lowered it to 5% on the next year. Income tax cuts for the middle class, in addition to $100 monthly payment to parents with children 6 and under, was also introduced. Additionally, a bill recognizing the right of Quebec to exist as a nation within Canada also passed in the House of Commons on November 22, 2006. The Ukrainian famine created by the Soviets in 1933 was also recognized as a genocide by the party and the government. The Conservatives called an election in 2008 that occurred on October 14, 2008, and they won 143 seats at the time. The Conservative Party created various economic policies to help stimulate the economy. They prorogued Parliament to avoid a non-confidence votes due to criticism of opposition parties on their economic policies, as well as criticism by the opposition on the Conservative policies. And the Conservatives have continued with their economic stimulus policies in the second term in office. Now we're going to go to the party platform. The Conservative Party merged with two ideas which are Red Tory and Western Conservative ideas. The progressive Red Tory idea advocated social programs and social conservatism, rejection of close ties with the US, and using the British model of institutions in Canada. Western Conservatives in the Western Alliance, also known as Blue Tories, preferred increased privatization, closer ties with the US, and smaller government with a less central government and more power to provinces. The Conservative Party has developed more among Western conservative lines with closer ties with the US, social and ethical government, and increasing military and judicial strength and power. In addition to Western conservative values, the Conservative Party also supports the decreasing of taxes. This is reflected in their reduction of the GST from 7% to 5%. Also, Harper has advocated reform of the Senate and the fixing of election dates once every 4 years only. Conservatives also signed a bill to refuse the right of those opposing certain wars to seek asylum in Canada. And now we're going to go in a section of membership, as we have covered the platform. The Conservative Party of Canada has ridings all across the province and country's territory. One can volunteer or join the party in order to raise money for local offices, help local candidates, and assist in national campaigns. Registration can be completed online, and in addition to the federal party, the Conservatives have provincial political parties as well, although some maintain the name Progressive Conservative and share differences in opinion and policies. They are still linked to the National Party. Mr. Stephen Harper encourages all party members to join their provincial wing, in addition to having membership in the National Party. And for additional links, I recommend that you go on Wikipedia and type in Conservative Party of Canada, as well as going on the external links section, going on the Conservative Party site, and receiving all other links, including the link to let you know how to volunteer for the party. Thanks for joining me again, and hope you join me next time as we look at the NDP.